You alright?
No, I'm not alright, Mike. 3 days of this shit got my nerves all rattled.
Why do we keep doing that? Like, it's going this way. Like, no, I'm...
Date someone who's emotionally available.
Not my type.
Here's where my train wreck of a dating life is at right now. A couple months ago, I was ghosted, and for the people out here saying, like, you know, you say that it's not you, but if it happened more than once, like, maybe you should look at it being a you thing, okay? Clearly you are not part of this dating world right now because it's so common. Instead of having a conversation, like, people are just ghosting, and that's just, like, super normal and, like, expected. It happens to everyone.
Hey gentlemen, give me the sip rep. I have my drink, I have my dog here bracing for impact for today's toxicity. So let's get started with this woman who has been ghosted. Of course, not by a nice guy, not by a guy who wanted something from her like ever, but from the typical chat. But let's see how she thinks.
Here's where my train wreck of a dating life is at right now. A couple months ago, I was ghosted, and for the people out here saying, like, you know, you say that it's not you, but if it happened more than once, like, maybe you should look at it being a you thing, okay? Clearly you are not part of this dating world right now because it's so common.
Alright, so first note, so apparently someone told her, hey, if you're getting ghosted all the time, maybe it's not them, maybe it's you, which of course that is the case. It's the man you pick that ghosts you, it's not every man. And of course, she doesn't take that advice. Are you surprised, gentlemen? Like, leave me a comment down below. Are you surprised? You know, when people tell her the truth, she prefers to ignore it. It couldn't be me. It couldn't be my choices, you know, as an adult, my decisions of the guys I date. No, it has to be every single man on planet Earth. Because this is what dating is. Yeah, no crap, Sherlock. You go on a dating app where most men are there just to hook up. But still, there are men willing to date. Of course, they are the boring ones, so you don't choose them. Jeez.
Instead of having a conversation, like, people are just ghosting, and that's just, like, super normal and, like, expected. It happens to everyone. It happens to the best of them. It's just, it's normal now. Doesn't mean that it should be normal because it's absolutely terrible. And when I say ghosting, I don't mean like, oh, you went out on one date and you never heard from them again. I'm talking like you've been talking for a bit and suddenly out of nowhere, they just kind of like, ghost.
John, let me translate. Let me pick up my 3 or 4 translator right now. What they mean with talking is just hooking up. You know, she goes on a date, she spreads her legs the first night. That's what they call talking, right? Guys are genuinely not in, like, guys who do this, they're not interested in commitment. Okay, this is why they are on Tinder, writing to girls to get with them. They're not interested in commitment, especially if you give them, you know, the one night stand, because they see that apparently you do that with everyone.
They, you know, poof, gone. So that happened. My face has to dry. And then I, you know, got back into the dating game. So that's kind of where I'm at right now is I knew that that should have ended about 2 months before it did. And I just kept waiting it out because I'm like, I knew in my gut that that wasn't the right fit. And so when it finally did come to an end, I was a little bit like, okay, I knew that it was supposed to end. I knew that it should have ended. It was just so one-sided, bare minimal, and I tried. I really, really tried. It wasn't it, and that's okay. And so now I'm just out here, I don't know, I'm just like super content where I'm at in life, and I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, we can totally see that. You know, guys, she said, I really, really tried. Of course you did, because he's Chad. You really want him to commit, right? I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of guys who are messaging her who will be interested to have something and not flake, but she doesn't care about them. Guys, she doesn't put the bare minimum into those kind of relationships. She just keeps them in the friend zone. But of course, when Chad comes around, then they really try. Then they will move skies and earth. Then they will drive 2 hours in a thunderstorm. Then they will wait for months at a time, ignoring all the red flags, just for that 1% chance that he might commit.
Yeah, I am, out there just like in the dating world, and I am not putting too much stock into it. So I'm just going to enjoy my life, and get ready for this event that I have in like 15 minutes.
You might be right. I wasn't looking for anything serious at the time, and I was healing from my divorce. And I do think he did actually care for me a lot. But he could have been very clear with me at the time when he was ready to depart by sharing with me those feelings and saying, I am going to part ways with you now. Instead, he did this 2 days after Christmas. We had spent Christmas Eve together with his daughters, and I had a really wonderful time, and I was feeling a really strong urge to have a conversation with him that I was ready to move into a relationship or something more serious. But I never had that opportunity to do so. Because right after Christmas is when he went silent and ghosted me.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
So, it is what it is. I think just ghosting is uncalled for in almost every situation.
Yeah, in every situation except the ones you do, right? You know, guys, rarely have I seen a man whining that he's being ghosted. Yet I see so many men whining about this. How is it? Like, do you think that only men ghost? Do you think that women don't ghost at all?
So I've been married and divorced 3 times. I think my main problem has been that my parents actually liked each other. I didn't see any fussing or fighting or arguing. My parents were a team. If one of them cooked, the other one cleaned, or sometimes one of them did it all because the other one was at work. I didn't see one partner hating on the next or being disrespectful and talking crazy and calling each other out of their names. Like, I didn't see any of that. So I see these couples with these battlefield marriages where they're just constantly arguing. They're constantly hating on each other. They're constantly, calling each other their names and fighting and fussing and all that dumb shit. Like, I'm not interested. I came from a peaceful home, come from a place of love. And I've noticed that a lot of people can't really say that. Like, they saw and had witnessed a lot of junk inside their households growing up, and I just didn't. So at the very inkling of some bullshit, that cheating, the beating, the talking crazy, the fussing, the arguing, the fighting, I'm ready to go. Because I've seen with my own 2 eyes how 2 people can really care about each other, love each other, and respect each other. And I'm not willing to settle for anything less, because I'm not bringing anything less to the table. So yes, I am an advocate for picking up and leaving and starting over if that's what you have to do. There's no reason why you should stay in a situation just because you made a mistake so you can be miserable for the rest of your life.
All right, so you had a good experience with your father and mother. You have good examples of marriage behavior. Why is it then you were divorced 3 times? Something doesn't add up. And it's one of 2 things. It's either you're lying about your behavior and you are the problem in your marriages. You are the one who doesn't bring anything to the table. You are the one who doesn't know how to keep a man. Or it's either you are a good partner, but you are just bad at picking and you are picking the wrong man. If it happened once, like, all right, you made a mistake once, sucks, but hey, you get married a second time, you fail again, and then you fail a 3rd time. Well, miss, you don't have all the time on earth. Every time you leave a marriage behind, the next dude is more suspicious as to why you couldn't pull it off. So yeah, you're full of crap. I don't believe you that you bring something to the table and you're this, beautiful human being who also picks, good men, but they just turn out to be rotten inside. no, I don't believe you. You either have a poor picking and selecting of men, or you just don't bring anything to the table. But what do you guys think?
The interesting thing is I actually used to talk to my friends for years about this. I'd be like, listen, I don't understand my husband. Like, when it's just me and him, he acts like he just does not give a shit about me being there. Like, I could literally die tomorrow and like it would not make it, like I could not, it just did not matter. Like, he was just so horribly indifferent towards me. Didn't really want to talk to me, didn't want to engage with me, didn't want to know what was going on in my life or in my mind or in my heart. And I'm like a curious gal, you know, I'm not boring. I read about shit every day. I want to talk about it. I want to think about it. I want to explore stuff. I want to engage. I just want engagement. You know what I mean? I just want us to, you know, have a dance. And he just fucking refused to do it. And the reason why I say refuse, and not that he was incapable, is because I saw him showing up in other relationships the way that I wanted him to show up in ours. He would be so like, just like pity party, depressed, whatever. And then he'd get a phone call from a friend and he'd be laughing, he'd be joking, he'd be on the phone for an hour, you know, no fucking problem. You get off the phone, completely different guy. And it wasn't until I actually shared this with my best friend, Lara, who is a trauma-informed life coach, who's also been through like abusive marriages and narcissistic marriages. I shared this with her and she's like, that's actually a narcissistic trait. It's the way that men control their female partners in a relationship, is by withdrawing love and affection and attention and getting you to do all kinds of monkey dances to get it again. And it like flipped the whole thing on its fucking head for me. The other thing that I want to bring up is one of the last conversations that I had with my ex-husband about our divorce. He tried to ask me to explain to him for the millionth time why I was leaving. And for those of you that have not been like following me or anything like that, I asked my husband for a divorce several times before I actually got divorced. And it was always for the same reasons, always the same fucking complaints. And so he sat me down and he's like, I just need you to explain to me like what I did wrong and why you're leaving me. And I remember he looked so like, he looked like an innocent little boy, just a lost little boy who was just so confused and wanted to know what he did wrong and why I was leaving him, even though he's tried so hard to be my husband, you know. He sat in front of me looking so innocent and lost and hurt. And I fucking looked at him and I was like, don't fucking do this to me, man. Don't fucking sit here and make me explain this to you again. We've been in couples therapy for 4 fucking years. You know exactly why I'm leaving. And I watched his whole fucking face change. He was like a little boy that got caught lying. He was like a little boy that got in trouble. It was one of the nails in the coffin for me on getting divorced, because I was always so back and forth. And this, just watching the facade fade away was...
You know, gentlemen, there are a lot of things to unpack here. So I don't know this woman's particular case. There is a lot of information that I need, but, you know, I'll be interested to see your comments down below. But my take, gentlemen, is that, you know, even if her man was sort of, you know, withdrawn emotionally, if he asked you before you got divorced, you know, it seems like he didn't want to get divorced, as men usually do. It's women who initiate 80% of divorces, more than 80%. If he didn't want to, it's probably because he cares and he didn't want it to break off, you know. So something that women do, or rather, I should say, something that men do, is watch other people's actions and not other people's words. So if this man was there telling you he doesn't want to break the relationship off and, you know, trying to pick up on the problems, yeah, well, most certainly he didn't want the whole thing to fall down, you know. And guys, like, women really need to understand about us, about men, is that we are more, what was the word? You know, more closed in ourselves. We don't share emotions that much. We don't share emotions all the time. We don't have to be whining or crying about everything at all time. Sometimes when there is a problem, we don't really like to talk about it. We just want to, you know, think about it in solitude, give it a thought. That's it. Right? Like, that's also feeling. It's not like men don't have feelings. It's just their feelings are, you know, facing a different direction. We don't need to call a friend like, hey, you have to know what happened, and then cry like a baby. We don't need to do that, man. It's not something bad. Womanism tries to put this as, you know, toxic masculinity. You have to hide your feelings. Man, nobody is hiding their feelings. They just, you know, they want to think of them alone. They don't want to share them with all the world. And, you know, funny thing, when you constantly share your problems with women, yeah, they will flake. They will just don't like you, because that's how women are. That's how women process information. If they see that you are the needy one, that you are the one who constantly needs attention and validation, they don't like that. That's who they are. Women are the ones who like to be validated. Women are the ones who like to share their problems and for you to listen to them or to fix their problems. Men don't want that. And again, you've been in this marriage for so long, and you finally broke it. And I think that you never understood that your man was probably not a narcissist or this really toxic guy who puts on a facade. And, you know, the things she said about, oh, that's how guys manipulate relationships, you know, they just withdraw their love. Guys, have you seen a man who is happy in his marriage and he voluntarily, actively, you know, withdraws love from her wife just to be, you know, just to control her? No. When men are happy, they are happy in a marriage. When men feel love, they share it in a relationship, you know? Like, you try to put men, or your husband in particular, like this, you know, 200 IQ, 3D chess moving pieces, you know, oh, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna behave this way, so she gets under my spell, under my control. Men don't do that. If there is a gender who manipulates with feelings, that's woman. You know, I'm not gonna say all women, but, you know, God knows a lot of women constantly manipulate with their feelings. Guys don't do that. So, like, don't know your husband. Maybe you are right, but it's really not a man's, you know, character to be doing these little games and little schemes on how to control women. And guys, like, this run's going on for too long, but have you had a friend who you go and ask him, like, hey man, how's the relationship going? Like, he's been in a relationship for 2 years, and you ask him, hey man, how's the relationship? How's your wife, or how's your girlfriend? And he tells you, it's fine. You know, that signals it's not fine. Like, when men are happy about their relationship, they will say like, she's fine, she's doing this, she's doing that, or we went this place last week. But have you had that friend that says, oh, it's nice, man, like, don't worry about it? Yeah, it's pretty clear when men are unhappy in their marriages. It's pretty clear from everything they say, how they behave and how they feel. And I'm mentioning this because she talked about how the guy, when she opened the phone to a friend, she acted all, you know, enthusiastic and happy. But then he closed the phone and he was cold with her. Well, it's probably because of you, you know, probably you are the problem. You are making him unhappy. I've never seen a man who is happy with his friends or whatever, and he just puts on a facade for his wife to control her. Man, that's some bull crap. But anyways, guys, I've ranted for far too long. Leave me your comments down below. What's your take on this? And I'll be happy to see you next time. Have a good one.